Hello, this is Gene Thorpe from Little Red Rooster TV, and today we are going to do an interview with Joe Ybarra. And Joe and I go back, I don't know, all the way at least till 1966.
Yeah.
Joe, what got you interested in music in the first place?
Well, my brother Rudy started me out. He got a guitar, I think it was 1963. I used to come home from school, get home a little bit earlier than him, and I'd sneak in the guitar case and play it before he got home because then he'd try to beat me up for getting in his guitar. So my dad actually bought me, in 1964, he bought me a Stratocaster from Sherman and Clay.
Wow, man, Sherman and Clay.
And we played for a couple years, him and his band with Dave Coyle and Paul Vieira, and I played in a couple little bands in 1965 with a couple of my friends. And then Rudy decided to change to bass.
Boy, that was a good thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, and to this day, we still play together. Him as the bass player, me as the steel player. And we did have a jazz rock band, instrumental band from 1998 to about, I'm going to say probably well into the 2014, 15.
So when I very first met you, I remember, or the things that I remember very distinctly were you and Don Price being able to play, the Eric Clapton riffs perfectly.
Hideaway.
Peter Green, Hideaway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you said that you love Paul Butterfield Blues Band, which I love Paul Butterfield Blues Band too. So where'd you go to school? That's one thing I
went to school at, elementary school around the neighborhood, Joseph Bonheim, then Earl Warren. This is in the Fruit Ridge area. And then I went to Wilsey Wood over on 65th Street for junior high. And then I went to Hiram Johnson from 65 through and graduated in 68.
Where you and I and Rick Taylor would go over to the Vox room and we would practice with those great big double stacked Sound Cities when the music store was closed. And I'll tell you, I thought you were a great guitar player. That was right after the Yukon Daily had kind of fragmented.
Yeah.
And boy, if Rudy would have came by then and he was playing the bass, we probably
would have.
As far as I
would still be playing probably.
Yeah, I'd have. In fact, today when you played on those songs, which I'll put on here, I'll put some of your pedal steel on there. It's beautiful, man. You're really a beautiful player. So did you start out by playing lap steels?
Yeah.
And breaking away from guitar a little bit? Or?
Yeah, 1967, I think it was. One of the neighbors had it. It had a little Silvertone with the matching amp, Rickenbacker. No, it wasn't Silvertone, Rickenbacker. It was silver in color, and the parents had bought it from one of these they used to go door to door and sell lap steels.
Yes.
Because in the 50s they were just coming out, and earlier than that, but door to door in the 50s, and none of the three brothers wanted to play it. And I was playing music, so I got a hold of it. I don't know how much I paid for it. It wasn't very much. And I got interested in the sounds of country. And then as you get a little bit farther down the road, I was playing in a group called Buckwheat, which kind of was a blues band to start with, but ended up with kind of a blues country mixture.
So was Buckwheat before you started playing with Bob Woods or around that same time?
Yes.
So who all was in Buckwheat? Because I remember them. That was a very good band.
Yeah, Buckwheat.
Didn't we do a gig somewhere?
We probably did.
I think you were mentioning Stonefront, and what was
Homefront on 15th and J Street.
Yes.
It was actually called St. Paul's Church.
Yes.
And then we also played at the on the campus of Sax State.
That's right. That's where we played.
Yeah, with your Yukon Daily.
Yeah.
Yes, we did
and
that.
And you were Buckwheat.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the other bands that played at that environment, there were a couple of other bands, weren't there? Back in those days, there usually would be 2 or 3 or 4 bands.
Oh, yeah. It was very fun, very good memories for me.
Yeah, real good memories for me. I loved it a lot. And so how did you, and so tell me who was in Buckwheat and
Buckwheat,
what happened?
we had Paul Narlock on drums.
And I played with
Carmichael, a guy.
Yeah, I remember
Then we had Joe Lev, who everybody knows, who's a bass player for many years now. He played rhythm guitar. He played a little Les Paul Jr. P90 type of guitar. And we had Rex Coombs, who was the bass player, and then we had Louis Lafroc was on harmonica. So we actually had a blues band, okay? And later on, we crossed into the early country rock scene from L.A., because I had started playing the lap steel that I had acquired, so we started doing some crossover stuff, kind of a mixture of blues and country, and that for me was the starting point of kind of gravitating towards pedal steel guitar.
So how long do you think it's been since you and I have seen each other?
I'm going to say probably at least 30 years.
About 30
Yeah, I'm gonna
years
say 30
or
years.
more.
Yeah.
And it seems
Yeah.
like that it's the same as though we just hadn't seen each other since yesterday, as far as I can see.
Well, when I make friends from the old days and even nowadays, they stay friends forever. They're just like the 25-year-old guy I knew from back then,
Yeah.
and now we're
Well,
older.
men never grow up, so
Yeah.
we're still 14
Yeah,
inside,
yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. So how did you get hooked up with Bob Woods? Because I played with him. We used to hire Bob when we had the band called Powerglide, and he would come and play the sax sometimes.
Yes.
But he's a very versatile musician. What
Yeah,
band were you in with him?
Well, my first band with Bob was in 1971, and it was with a group called Tokpila.
I remember that.
And
band.
we played at Randy Paragari put us in his club over there at the Parapal Palace.
Yep, and we
We
played,
played there. We played a Western swing and a little bit of hoedown music because we had Richard Casanova on fiddle. And that we played together for about, maybe 2.5 years as a Western swing band. And Richard went on to play fiddle for Asleep at the Wheel and George Strait. Bob continued playing with other bands, and so did I. And then we hooked back up again in 1976 in the Colfax area with Conrad Nelson and Donnie Looker and Don Dahl. And we had another Western swing sound. We had a guy that played keyboard and accordion. We were further along in our Western swing ambition. And then we just hung around the foothills and played and stuff. And so that was my second band I played with Bob. And I now play with Bob to this day. We hit 50-year reunion. I started in 1971 with Bob. Here we are in 2021. And we just did a gig last week.
Isn't that great? And then you are now playing with Tony Day, the famous Tony Day. I love Tony Day.
Famous Tony Day.
Former drummer for Van Morrison.
Yes.
And so many bands. He's an interesting guy because he was born in England. He's got a New York accent and he plays country music.
Well, Tony, we kind of turned him into a country drummer. He could play anything. But his first experience with country music was in New York City with Linda Ronstadt.
Linda Ronstadt and the Stone Ponies.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, because I've seen. In fact, there's something on YouTube right now which shows them playing. Unfortunately, the sound guy didn't get some of the guitars in there, and I think you can hear the drums. Have you heard that?
Yeah, the Stone Ponies. The one song.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one it is. I have it saved in my phone, but when Tony told me that, I said, "Well, you are a country drummer, Tony."
Yeah. Wait, really? And Linda Ronstadt, gosh, what a talent she is. And Tony's dad was a wonderful musician. He played the organ and saxophone, and they had a music store down in the Bay Area. And Tony also played with his brother. His brother passed away many years ago, but he was the bass player for Bob Dylan.
Oh, that I didn't know.
Yeah. Talk to him about that. And then they had this band with the lead guitar player Barry Melton from Country Joe and the Fish, and that was a good band. They made a record, it had a picture of a cat on it. It was kind of psychedelic. Yeah, he's had a great career. So you're playing with him and your brother?
Yes, we play in two bands together. We play with a group called the Sidoros, and we're kind of the house band of a musical venue, 140 seats, a listening place. And the place is called the Side Door, owned by John Green. A great musical venue to hear music. Not to drink, not to eat. You sit down, you listen to the music. We're also playing with Michael Strow and the Fortunate Few, which is a Western swing band. So So we got two different bands, and Tony's our drummer, and we love him.
Oh yeah,
Just love him.
he's just a wonderful, wonderful human being. We love him very much. Okay, and then we're talking a little bit earlier about our friend Mike Welch.
Yes.
Such an artist.
Yes.
And you're an artist in the fact that you are a photographer.
Yes.
And so how was your relationship with Mike Welch?
Well, my relationship with Michael goes back to way back to early days in high school. You know, probably 1960. I think we go back to 1965. And he was being an artist. I had him one time design a business card for me, but he also did light shows.
He
and
did.
You know about that because you were involved too.
Yeah, because he did them, and he did all of our posters for the Yukon Daily. He did 2 really neat psychedelic posters for us. And what a great guy.
Yeah, and so I correspond with Michael. He lives down in Sebastopol, and we got together about 3 years ago after not seeing each other for many years. And we just hit it off right from the get-go, just kind of like we did today. You haven't seen somebody for so many years, but it's just like the old days. And so Mike and myself are going to do an art show. We don't know yet the date or the location, but we're going to collaborate on his artwork and my photography, and do a thing together.
So how did you get involved in the photography? Because those are some beautiful pictures.
Well, I got involved in photography about 1975, I think. I got my first SLR camera, and I went on many trips. You know, I was young, going all kinds of different places and taking pictures, and it wasn't very good. But it captured my interest of the creativity, which kind of goes hand in hand with music.
Oh, yeah.
I see that a lot of musicians are also photographers, and so I kind of go between the two, the love of the two of them, and I think one helps the other, you know.
Oh, I do too.
I go out and do photography, and I like to do photography, landscape photography, and I like to create pictures and be the picture. In other words, I do not put my camera on auto. I put it on manual, and I do all the settings and the changing and the adjustments, and it's kind of like music. I like to play my style of pedal steel guitar, and not copy this player or this player. So we all have influences, but I like to be creative in that way, and they both seem to go hand in hand, you know.
Yeah, that is great. I know we were talking a little bit earlier about being influenced by Clapton, John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, and Mike Bloomfield, being in the Paul Butterfield Blues Band, and that. What were your favorite influences?
Well, as far as guitar players, we probably covered it a little bit, but my influences on the pedal steel guitar were probably, of course, Lloyd Green, Buddy Emmons, people like that. But one particular album that made a difference in my love for wanting to play the instrument was probably the Byrds' Sweetheart of the Rodeo album.
Oh, man. Yes,
when J.D. Manis and Lloyd Green both played on that album, and when I heard the sounds coming out of that instrument, I said, that's what I want to do.
Really?
Because I was a guitar player.
Yeah.
I still play guitar.
Yeah.
But my love is really, all my attention right now is diverted towards pedal steel. And that's the one that really triggered it in me. You know, and now I collect steels, I play steels, play with many bands, and there's not a day that I don't learn something on that.
You know, when we talk about collecting steels, I want to, just give a very strong remembrance of Chris Ivy.
Yes.
And he left you his pedal steel. He was such a wonderful friend, and we'd always see him riding up on his Harley.
Yes.
Yeah, talk a little bit about your
Well,
relationship with Chris.
Chris and I got together first probably in, I'm going to say 1969 to 70. He walked into my house one day with a friend. He had heard there was another guy that was playing steel guitar, and he actually was playing a year or so before me, a year or two before me. We struck up a friendship, and then back in the early 70s, we'd get together at his apartment or whatever, and side by side, and trade licks, trade ideas, and just became friends to the day he passed away on July 4th, 2016. And then he told me about a year or so before he died that if he died, to see Terry, his girlfriend, that she had something for me. And I just took it as a grain of salt. And then he passed away, and Terry got a hold of me because he had left a guitar with a note in it for me. A guitar, it's a B Bender guitar. And then his daughter brought me the double neck Emmons steel.
Wow.
And rather than, I had stopped playing pedal steel for about 25, 26 years. And rather than put it in the closet and just put it there and just let it sit, I decided, well, in honor of Chris, I was going to start playing again.
Guy.
Yeah, he was a wonderful friend. I miss him. I stay in touch with his daughter. As a matter of fact, his daughter still has one of the last steel that he was known to be playing in the clubs. And so she's keeping that to remember him by as far as his pedal steel work. And his other steel guitars, one went to me and one went to another friend. I have a 1938 Rickenbacker Bakelite steel that I gave Chris one day in 1988. I gave it to him as a gift, sitting on a couch at John Green's house. And at first he refused to take it. And then finally John said, Chris, Joe's trying to give you a gift. Accept it. Okay. So what it amounted to was Chris made a deal with me. He said, I'll tell you what, Joe. See, I had acquired a 7-string of the same steel in 1936, and I was giving him the 38. And he said, Joe, that's too valuable just to give away. I said, Chris, I'm giving it to you as a gift. So he said, I'll make you a deal. If I die before you, you get it back. But if you die before me, I get the other one.
Ah!
So, well, anyways, to make a long story short, Chris passed away in 2016, and his girlfriend, Terry, got me back the 1938. So I have both of them now. Hey, my favorite musicians in the pedal steel world would probably be still to this day, probably Lloyd Green, he's still alive. Paul Franklin's like the premier player in the world. And all the local players that play, that contribute to the type of music I love to hear. They're all wonderful. As far as guitar players go, I used to listen to anything from the early days, Clapton and Beck and all them people, to later on to the jazz players, Lee Rettenauer and George Benson, just the whole Chuck Loeb, everybody. But I really can't narrow down a favorite steel player or a favorite guitar player because they're all wonderful to me.
Well, it's sure been a pleasure to see you. I'll tell you that. It's really neat. We've been talking about this for a couple of years, and finally we did it.
Yeah.
And we'll see each other more. This is Gene Thorpe, Little Red Rooster TV, here with Joe, and we're signing out. All right.